My sister left her kids, then came back swinging. 6 months later, I took everything. She left her kids on my doorstep with no warning. When I threatened to call CPS, she sent a man to assault me in my own home. It sounds like a movie, right? I wish it was. This was my life, thanks to my sister, Vanessa. Growing up, Vanessa was the sun, and well, I was just the other one. Thick, curly hair, light eyes. She was stunning. Mom never let me forget it. Why can't you be more like Vanessa? Let Vanessa show you how to do your makeup, dear. Straight dark hair and dark eyes. I was always the before picture. Vanessa, of course, reveled in it. If I ever dared ask for her help, she'd just laugh. You, pretty, don't make me choke. We grew up practically hating each other. She soaked up every toxic trait Mom displayed. I ran from them. Being beautiful, she learned early on, meant she could get away with murder, and she usually did. My self-esteem? Non-existent. Therapy's been a long road, trying to grow a spine when you've been treated like a doormat your whole life. Dad just watched, never stepped in. It taught me that no man would ever stand up for me, that I wasn't worth it. Dating's been a minefield of mistrust. Vanessa even slept with my high school boyfriend senior year, just for kicks. She said he was ugly. When Mom and Dad found out, not let bygones be bygones. Vanessa didn't even get a talking to. That was the moment I knew. They truly preferred her. The only upside to being the ugly sister was my grades. No social life meant all study all the time. 4.0, full ride to my top university. I remember Mom telling me, the night before high school started, Vanessa's college is covered. She's the eldest. You'll have to do community college. Pay your own way. I sobbed. Don't you love me? Of course I do, she'd said deadpan. But Vanessa deserves it more. So, that scholarship? It felt like my first real win. Vanessa partied her way through high school, barely scraped by, and was only going to college because Mom and Dad were footing the bill for some mediocre place. I rushed home, bursting to tell them. Dad mumbled, "Good job." Mom didn't even look up from her phone. Then, silence. For a week, she ignored me. It was like my success was an insult. That night, I cried until dawn, then wrote in my journal, "I'm done. Done begging for love. All this rage, this hurt, it's going into my future. I'll be stable, independent, educated, even if I'm never loved by them." And I did it. Honors degree, 6 figures, by 23. Holidays were the usual. Extended family might offer a well done, but Mom? If anyone asked about me, she'd cut in, "This is boring. Can we change the subject?" One Christmas, my uncle congratulated me on a promotion and buying my first house. Mom muttered under her breath, loud enough for me to hear, "It's probably not even true anyway." She hated that I was thriving while Vanessa flunked out of college, pregnant by a guy she'd known for 4 months. They had another kid to fix things. I saw her posts about baby number 2 and just felt sick for those children. Her baby daddy never even remembered my name at family gatherings. Trash, both of them. Pure trash. So no, I don't feel bad for what I did after she pulled her stunt. It was a Saturday morning. My doorbell rang. Standing there were my nephews, Ethan, 10, and Jordan, 7, overnight bags at their feet. "What are you guys doing here?" I asked, completely floored. Ethan, always the quiet, serious one, said, "Mom's going on vacation. For 8 weeks. She said you're watching us." Vanessa and I hadn't spoken since the 4th of July BBQ, where she'd told me to skip a second plate because my muffin top was offensive. Free babysitter for 2 months? Was she insane? The boys looked so lost. I let them in, phone already dialing Vanessa. 10 calls. Finally, she answered. "There's no way I'm watching your kids, Vanessa," I seethed. "If you're not back here ASAP, I'm calling CPS. I'm looking up the number right now." Her voice dropped, cold and ugly. "You do that, and I'll call your job. Tell them you're off your bipolar meds, having a breakdown. You'll be fired before lunchtime. My career, my everything." I hung up, head spinning. I had a trip to Australia in a month to meet my boyfriend Eric's family. This was a nightmare. Who else to call but Mom? Predictably, she sided with Vanessa. "She's done so much for you. You need to be there for her." "Done for me?" I shrieked. "When, Mom? Tell me one single time, Vanessa, or you have ever been there for me. You treated me like dirt." I demanded she come over. Maybe she could watch them while I went to Australia. Fat chance. When Mom arrived, her eyes were like ice chips. You're being an awful sister, as usual. Family helps family. What kind of vacation is this, Mom? I pressed. 8 weeks? Leaving her kids? This is weird. Her face crumpled. She's being flown out by her sugar daddy. I actually laughed. Then I saw her face. Dead serious. You raised a loser, Mom. A woman who abandons her kids for a sugar daddy instead of getting a job. It doesn't matter how much money you have, she spat back, her voice dripping venom. Or how nice your house is. You'll always be the ugly duckling. Born ugly, die ugly. I wanted to physically throw her out. Get out of my house, I screamed. I'm not going anywhere, she yelled back. I tried to guide her to the door. She shoved me hard. I stumbled back, crashing into the coffee table. My favorite vase, a gift from Eric, shattered on the floor. It was like seeing my own heart break. Get out! I was sobbing, screaming. Get out, or I'm calling the police. The boys peeked out, eyes wide with fear. My heart ached for them. After Mom finally left, I ordered us all DoorDash, let them play video games until they fell asleep on the sofa. Innocent kids, cursed with a mess of a mother. I finally got Vanessa on the phone again later. You're disrupting my whole life. I'm calling CPS, a sinister laugh. Your choice. Watch my kids or lose your job. You're nothing without it, are you? Back to being a loser. It stung because it was true. My career was my identity. Why do you hate me so much? I cried. Abandoning your kids for some man? I'm the type of woman who can make millions from a sugar daddy in 2 months, she sneered. Something you'll never have to worry about. She was trying to break me, and damn her, it was working. She hung up after one final threat. I collapsed in tears. Upstairs, I called Eric. Bless him, even on the other side of the planet, he was my rock. She's committing crimes, babe, he said, his voice calm but firm. Abandonment, blackmail. You need solid evidence. Call her again. Get her to repeat that threat about your medication, but record it this time. She's unhinged, you know that. She'll act on it. He was right. My sister was certifiable. The next day, I played video games with Ethan and Jordan. They were shocked I knew my way around a first-person shooter. We ordered pizza, had a pepperoni eating contest, and somewhere between the giggles and the shared slices, I realized I loved these little boys. They were sweet, polite, nothing like their mother. Then I noticed the holes in Jordan's socks. Ethan's clothes were too small. The bags Vanessa packed were full of old, ill-fitting clothes. Neglect, pure, and simple. I took them to the mall. Anything you want, guys. Jordan, with his goofy 2 front teeth missing smile, melted my heart every time. New clothes, new shoes, toys, and then Nintendo Switches. Both boys broke down, hugging me tight. In the car, Ethan was crying silently. Why are you being so nice to us? He whispered. Why do we deserve it? Because you're my boys too, I told him, my own voice thick. And you're kids. You deserve to be happy. He cried harder. I'm angry at Mom, he choked out, for keeping us apart. My heart shattered. He then told me haltingly about their home life. How their mom yelled, how sometimes she wasn't nice. Later that night, after Jordan was asleep, Ethan crept into the living room where I was tidying up. He looked so small. Auntie, he began, his voice barely a whisper. Can I ask you something about Mom? Of course, sweetie, anything. He fiddled with the hem of his new t-shirt. Why is she sometimes meaner to Jordan than to me? I knelt down. Oh, Ethan, I don't know. Your mom, she has a lot of her own problems. He looked up, his eyes old for a 10-year-old. Sometimes she says things like Jordan isn't really supposed to be here. He took a shaky breath. Now, one time, I heard her fighting with Grandma on the phone. A long time ago, she was crying, saying some bad man hurt her. And that's why Jordan, he trailed off, tears welling. Is that why she doesn't like him as much? My God. Vanessa assaulted? And Jordan. The result. It didn't excuse her cruelty, not for a second, but it added a layer of tragedy I hadn't fathomed. I pulled Ethan into a hug. Oh, honey, your mom has been through some very hard things. It doesn't make it right how she treats anyone, especially you and Jordan. But Jordan is so, so loved, okay? By me. And you love him, don't you? He nodded fiercely into my shoulder. He's my best brother. Exactly, I whispered, stroking his hair. And none of this is his fault. Or yours. It was a tender, heartbreaking moment, a glimpse into a pain I never knew existed within my sister's destructive orbit. After Ethan went to bed, I steeled myself and called Vanessa, phone set to record. It wasn't hard to steer her. CPS, Vanessa. I mean it. You do that, and I'll tell your bosses you're a psycho, she shrieked. Unmedicated. They won't care if I'm lying. No one believes a crazy sicko like you. You don't deserve that job anyway. She sounded manic, repeating phrases. I got what I needed and hung up, her voice still screeching, You don't deserve anything. The next morning, I called CPS, explained everything, shared the recording. The agent listened. Ma'am, this is clear blackmail and child neglect. We're opening an investigation immediately. I was shaking. Then Mom called. I stupidly let it slip about CPS. Click. She hung up. Of course, she called Vanessa. I knew what was coming. The next morning at work, my supervisor called an urgent meeting. 2 supervisors and a higher-up I'd never met. But we've been contacted by a trusted family source, one began, informing us you may be unmedicated for a severe mental illness, concerns about a psychotic break. But I was ready. I handed them copies of my doctor's letter, 5 years of prescription records, verifications from my PCP, therapist, and psychiatrist. My sister is making false accusations due to a family dispute involving her children, I explained calmly. They reviewed everything. The suspicion in their eyes vanished. We apologize for this, my direct supervisor said. Just due diligence. He then, bless him, bragged about my recent successful quarter. I left that meeting practically giggling. I called Vanessa from my car. So that meeting? Took 15 minutes. They thought you sounded crazy. Your plan backfired. Genius. She was enraged. You're lying. You were fired. Failed again, Vanessa, I laughed, maybe a little cruelly. Like everything else, even your kids are disappointed in you. You bitch! You C-word, she screamed. I'm coming back. You'll regret this. The laughter died as I drove home. She was unhinged, and she was coming back. I was terrified. For me, for the boys. I checked on them sleeping, their innocent faces. I cried in the hallway. They didn't deserve this. The next morning started quiet. Too quiet. The boys were still sleeping in the guest room, curled up like puppies under their matching Minecraft blankets. I was in the kitchen, sipping lukewarm coffee, scrolling through emergency contact options on my phone. CPS, legal aid, a therapist for the boys. My tabs were a desperate mosaic of, what now? Then, bam. The front door shook in its frame, bam, bam, bam. It wasn't knocking. It was intentional, like someone punching the soul out of the wood. I jumped up so fast my mug shattered on the floor. I ran to the peephole and froze. Vanessa, in full glam, red lipstick, designer knockoff sunglasses on her head like a crown. And beside her, a man built like a refrigerator. Not tall, tall. 6'5", easy and wide. His neck looked like it had eaten another neck. Behind them, barely visible, was Mom, arms folded, face pale. I didn't even get the chain off before Vanessa pounded again. Open the door. No, you can't just... Too late. The moment I cracked the door, the man, her bodyguard, I guess, jammed his palm against my shoulder and shoved. Hard. My back hit the floor before my brain caught up. My elbow cracked on the wood. I gasped. Couldn't even speak. They barreled in. Vanessa stepped over me like I was laundry. The man barely blinked. Mom slinked in after, her eyes darting like a cornered animal. I dragged myself halfway upright. What is this? Vanessa, who is this guy? You can't just... The man turned his head slowly. He didn't say a word, just stared at me with dead eyes. Vanessa rolled hers. Enough. Get the kids. Don't touch them. My voice cracked. Too late. Ethan and Jordan appeared at the hallway, rubbing their eyes. Jordan was clutching his little plush dog, Buttons. Ethan froze when he saw the man. Auntie! Ethan's voice wobbled. What's happening? Vanessa snapped. Get in the car now. Ethan shook his head. No, we're staying. The man lunged forward. I scrambled to grab Ethan's arm, yanking him back toward me. Don't touch them, I screamed. He didn't even flinch. His hand gripped the back of my head like a basketball and slammed it into the wall. White. Everything went white. My knees buckled and I collapsed like a rag doll. I heard the boys screaming, Jordan's high-pitched wail, Ethan shouting, let go of him. Then, footsteps. A door slamming. The screen door squeaked open. Car doors, the deep growl of an engine. From the floor, I blinked up through tears. Vanessa crouched over me, slow, deliberate. You think you're the hero? Her voice was icy. You'll never be anything but the bitter backup act. That's all you've ever been. And then, spit, right in my face. I didn't move. Couldn't. Just laid there, hand clutching my temple, while the sound of tires peeled away down my street. The silence afterward was unbearable. I could still hear the boys. Their cries echoed in my mind, like a recording stuck on repeat. Ethan's little body being dragged, his voice breaking, "We want to stay!" And Jordan, barefoot, clutching buttons, as that man carried him like luggage. I crawled to the hallway, vision blurry, one hand dragging behind me like it didn't belong to me anymore. Why didn't I fight harder? Why didn't I scream louder? I pressed my forehead to the cool tile. I failed them, I whispered. I failed them again. Somewhere deep down, a voice fought through the fog. No, not this time. You get up. You fix this. And I did. I wiped Vanessa's spit from my cheek. Called the police. Every syllable shook as I told them what happened. License plate, physical description, assault. The officer's voice was grim. We'll find them. Stay put. Then I showered. Water so hot it stung. I stood under it until I couldn't feel my scalp anymore. Until the rage was hotter than the pain. I toweled off, wrapped myself in a blanket, and sat in the hallway where they'd stood. Where I'd bled. Where I lost them. I stayed there all night. And I didn't cry again. Not until the next phone call. My head was throbbing, spit drying on my cheek. The image of those terrified little faces seared into my brain. I had an anxiety attack that felt like my heart was trying to beat its way out of my chest. When I could finally breathe, I called the police. They already knew about the CPS case. I told them everything. The man, the assault, the car. My job trained me for details, and somehow I remembered the license plate. Every letter, every number. I described Vanessa's feral, wild-eyed look. I was convinced she was on something. Hours passed. I couldn't eat, sleep, think, just my nephews' faces. Then, the police called back. They'd found the Suburban. It took 3 cars to pull them over, ma'am, the officer, Detective Rivas, said. The man, even with guns on him, tried to attack, punched 2 officers, gave one a black eye before they got him down. Your sister assaulted an officer trying to cuff her, too. I was reeling. And ma'am, Rivas continued, your sister, she wants to use her one call on you, screaming about bail money. Tell her she can rot, I said, my voice flat. He gave an understanding chuckle. My boys were in CPS protection, safe but with strangers. My Australia trip was a week away, thousands in bookings, Eric's parents. I couldn't cancel. I spent the week trying to pack, bursting into tears randomly. Eric was amazing, but I was a wreck. A few days before my flight, I was gathering the things Vanessa had left for the boys. Mostly junk. Tucked under a pile of 2 small t-shirts was an old tablet. I almost tossed it, but then I saw Ethan's name scribbled on a sticker on the back. Curiosity got the better of me. I charged it up. Most of it was kids' games, a few blurry photos. But then I found a folder labeled videos. My blood ran cold. The first one was short. Vanessa, her face contorted in rage, screaming at Jordan, who couldn't have been more than 5. You little brat! Why are you always under my feet? He was cowering. The next was worse. The camera was propped up, probably by Ethan, unintentionally. It showed the boys' messy living room. Vanessa was off screen, then stormed in, yelling incoherently. She grabbed a toy truck and hurled it. It missed Ethan by inches. He flinched but didn't cry. Jordan started wailing. Shut up! Both of you! Just shut up, she shrieked, before lunging towards where the camera must have been, and the video cut out. There were more. Snippets of verbal abuse, objects thrown, the boys looking terrified. My hands were shaking. This wasn't just neglect. This was active, ongoing abuse. This changed everything. I backed it all up to the cloud immediately. Australia was a blur of forced smiles initially, but Eric and his family were wonderful. His parents were warm, active, and we hiked to stunning views. Eric took me to a secret waterfall, we skinny dipped, laughed, kissed. For a few days, I felt almost normal, loved. But back home, the nightmare resumed. I went to the police station, officially pressed charges against Vanessa and Mom for breaking and entering, assault. The CPS investigation was ongoing, nothing conclusive yet. How? The tablet videos. I hadn't given them to CPS yet. I was waiting for the right moment, for a lawyer. The thought of my nephews with strangers, of Jordan's little plush doggy he took everywhere. I'd been sleeping with it. It tore me apart. I hadn't changed out of my pajama pants in 2 days. The house was too quiet without the boys. Every time I passed Jordan's crumpled little sock on the stairs or Ethan's crayon drawing taped crookedly on the fridge, it hit me like a punch to the gut. I kept checking my phone like something would magically appear. An update, a solution, a reset button. Instead, it was just news cycles, CPS hold music, and silence. Until my phone lit up. Mrs. Henderson. I almost let it go to voicemail. I didn't have the energy to explain anything to anyone, not even her. But something in me said, pick up. Her voice was trembling. Sweetheart, are you sitting down? My stomach tightened. Why? What happened? I just texted you a link. You need to watch it right now. Click. At first, I didn't understand what I was seeing. It was grainy, angled from the corner of my front porch. But then, there I was, opening the door. Vanessa, the giant. His hand on my shoulder. The shove. Me hitting the floor. Vanessa stepping over me like I was garbage. And then, the spit. Right in my face. All of it. All on camera. The audio wasn't perfect, but you didn't need it. The body language, the aggression, the complete lack of humanity, it was all there, and it had thousands of views. Mrs. Henderson, who posted this? I don't know, honey. I didn't even know your cameras caught all that. But someone did. And that's not all. Another ping, another link. YouTube, Brenda's Justice Journey. The title slapped me across the face. Golden Child's brutal attack on sister. Justice for the real victim? The thumbnail was surreal. Vanessa mid-sneer, and me, dazed and bruised, caught mid-stagger from the footage. I clicked. There she was, Brenda Maddox, in her signature red blazer and wild curls, like the righteous auntie of the internet. She didn't ease into it. Folks, I am furious today, she boomed. Because what you're about to see, it's not just a family drama, it's a warning. Cut to footage. Look at this. A hardworking woman, assaulted in her own home for doing the right thing, for protecting children, for standing up to a golden child narcissist and the enabler mother who let it all happen. My hands were shaking. Brenda kept going. Not only that, sources say this sister tried to sabotage her job, weaponize mental illness, and when that didn't work, she brought a man to her house, a man who put her in the hospital. This is what happens when systems fail. But we will not be silent. She listed the charges, blackmail, neglect, assault, and then called for action. Hashtag justice for auntie protector. Hashtag lock up Vanessa. I scrolled through the comments. She needs a GoFundMe for legal fees. I'd donate right now. My sister was the same. Always got away with everything. No more. That poor woman. You can hear how scared she is. My heart breaks. Where is CPS? Those boys deserve better. This Vanessa needs jail time, period. I didn't realize I was crying until I tasted salt. This wasn't just my story anymore. It belonged to the world now. And somehow, I felt lighter. Like maybe, finally, I wasn't crazy. Like maybe the tide was turning. A few hours later, a producer from Brenda's team reached out. Said they wanted to interview me, share my story more deeply if I was ready. I wasn't, but I also was. Because if this chaos could help another woman trapped in a toxic family, if it could protect Ethan and Jordan from ever going back into that house, if it could make Vanessa finally face consequences, then yes, I'd talk. Loudly. Publicly. And I wouldn't apologize for it. The breaking and entering trial against Vanessa and Mom was first. Mom, seeing the writing on the wall with the viral footage and Brenda Maddox's daily updates, quickly flipped, agreeing to testify against Vanessa to save her own skin. Watching her on the stand, crocodile tears streaming as she blamed Vanessa for everything, was a twisted sort of satisfaction. During a pre-trial hearing for that case, the judge mentioned my separate petition for full custody of Ethan and Jordan. Vanessa, who apparently hadn't been told by her public defender, found out right there in the courtroom. Her head snapped towards me, her eyes already wild, went black with fury. "You!" she shrieked, her voice echoing through the suddenly silent courtroom. Before anyone could react, she launched herself over the low barrier separating us. It was like a rabid animal attacking. Claws out, scratching at my face, yanking my hair. I threw my arms up to protect myself. Pain, sharp and searing, shot up my forearm. She'd bitten me, hard. The bailiffs were on her in seconds, hauling her off, still screaming obscenities. I stared at the deep, bloody crescent on my arm, the courtroom spinning. The judge, stone-faced, banged his gavel. Order! Order! My sister had just sealed her fate, right there in front of God and everybody. The bite got infected, left a nasty scar, a permanent reminder. It took almost 2 more years. 2 years of lawyers, court dates, sleepless nights. Vanessa was eventually sentenced. The assault on me, the assault on the officers, child endangerment, the evidence from the tablet that my lawyer expertly presented. It all stacked up. Life sentence, minimal chance of appeal. Good riddance. The custody battle was brutal. The boy's birth father and his family suddenly appeared, fighting me for them. But with the tablet videos, the viral support stirred by Brenda Maddox, who became a sort of godmother to the cause, and Vanessa's own spectacular self-destruction, the tide turned. My lawyer was a shark, and I had the truth, and the boy's well-being on my side. Finally, the day came. The judge awarded me full legal custody. Bringing Ethan and Jordan home, truly home to my home, was the best day of my life. I decorated their rooms, filled them with everything I thought they'd love. Jordan ran into his room, gasping when he saw his rediscovered Switch. I pulled his little plush doggy buttons from behind my back. He snatched it, burying his face in its worn fur, and then threw his arms around my waist, hugging me so tight I could barely breathe. Ethan joined us, his arm around Jordan, his other around me. Both boys were crying, big, gulping sobs, into my hair. "We missed you so much, Auntie," Jordan hiccuped. Ethan looked up, his big, tear-filled eyes shining with a light I hadn't seen in them before. He smiled, a genuine, wide smile. "I knew it, Auntie," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "I just knew you'd come back for us one day." And in their arms, surrounded by the happy chaos of their rediscovered toys and the quiet promise of a safe, loving future, I knew I had too. My small, scarred family finally whole. I later framed a picture of the 3 of us from that first mall trip, goofy smiles and all, and put it right where that shattered vase used to be. A new centerpiece for a new life.